Once you've solved a circuit, you've already seen how that we can check our total power against the power of each individual resistor, and they should add up to equal our total. So if we have 48 watts of total power, then P1 plus P2 plus P3 plus P4 should equal 48, and they do. This doesn't work for voltage, and it doesn't work for current. However, we do have a couple of laws that we can use to check voltage and current. These are known as Kirchhoffs circuit laws. And the first law is called Kirchhoffs Loop Law, or loop rule. This law states that the voltages will add up to equal the total voltage, but only the voltages through one complete loop. So if we made one complete loop through this circuit, we could go through resistor 1, resistor 2, and resistor 4. This says that V1 plus V2 plus V4 should equal our 24 volts. V1, V2, V4. Well, let's see. 12 plus 8 is 20, plus 4 is 24 volts. There's another loop we can make where we go through number 1, 3, and 4. V1 plus V3 plus V4 should equal our total voltage of 24. So 12 plus 8 plus 4 does equal 24. So more complex circuits will have more loops that you can make. This one, there are only 2 possible loops, but they both check out. This loop law is essentially a conservation of energy law. How many joules of energy does each coulomb of charge get from the battery, and then how many joules of energy does each coulomb of charge take away from the circuit and through our resistors? The second Kirchhoffs law is known as the junction rule, or junction law. A junction is any place in the circuit where there's a split. So this is a junction. And this law tells us that the current going into the junction equals the current coming out of the junction. So how many paths go into this junction? Only one. How much current went through number 1? 2 amps. That means that the 2 paths that come out of that junction also have to add up to equal 2 amps. So 2 amps in, I2 plus I3 is 1 amp plus 1 amp. That's 2 amps. 2 amps in, 2 amps out. Here's another junction. The current going into the junction would be I2 plus I3, which is 1 amp plus 1 amp, 2 amps, equals the current coming out of the junction, I4, that's 2 amps. So 2 amps go here, it splits 1 and 1. The 1 and 1 come together, 2 amps through there. This is essentially a conservation of charge law, where we are not losing any coulombs of charge, we're not gaining any coulombs of charge. When we write these as equations, we would say I1 equals I2 plus I3. We would write I2 plus I3 equals I4. For the loop rule, we would write V1 plus V2 plus V4 equals V total, or V1 plus V3 plus V4 equals V total. Let's look at the second. So the loop rules and the junction rules should hold true for this circuit also. Also, our total power of 17 watts was 18 plus 9 plus 18 plus 27 does add up to equal 72. Well, let's look at the loops. How many different loops do we have through this circuit? Well, again, there are only 2 possible loops. We can go through resistors 1, 2, and 3, or we can go through just 1 and 4. So whatever our total voltage is, that should equal V1 plus V2 plus V3. So V1 plus V2 plus V3 is 6 plus 6 plus 12, that is 24 volts. And our other loop, V1 plus V4, should equal 24. 6 plus 18 does equal 24 volts. For a junction rule, again, there are only 2 junctions in this circuit. So the current going into this junction equals this current plus this current. So I1 equals I2 plus I4. I1 equals I2 plus I4. 3 amps equals 1.5 amps plus 1.5 amps. That is true. It works. Now you might be thinking, well, why don't we say I2 plus I3? Well, if you do that, you're counting that current twice. When that 1.5 amps goes through number 2, it's the same 1.5 amps that goes through number 3. We don't want to count those electrons twice. Now, at this junction, I3 plus I4 will equal, you can come back around to I1. So again, I3 plus I4, 1.5 plus 1.5 equals 3 amps. So Kirchhoffs loop rule and Kirchhoffs junction rule will let us check our current and our voltage, and we can also check our power. So it's highly unlikely that those 3 checks would work out mathematically and you have wrong numbers in a chart. If you fill in a chart and the things check out, it's more than likely correct.